and this video presentation is about the most powerful locomotives on the MBTA commuter rail out of Boston, the Motive Power Industries HSP46’s. There are 40 of these on the roster, numbered from 2000 to 2039. The first unit that was put in service was the 2001. The 2000 came along and the 2003 came along. They were test beds. The 2000 was sent to Erie, Pennsylvania by Motive Power Industries, and the 2003 went to the Pueblo, Colorado test track. But now they got the 40 units, and these are very powerful engines, 4,600 horsepower, a bit less when you have the head-end power figured in. They're fast accelerating locomotives. They have quiet cabs, they have blended brakes, and large picture windows for high visibility. Unfortunately, those large windows and the rounded curves of the locomotive make it look like a cartoon character. Indeed, I always call them Garfields because they look like Garfield the cat and Goofy from Walt Disney. Not pretty locomotives, but if you compare these with the Los Angeles Metrolink F-125s, these look like Marilyn Monroe. And they've had a lot of problems, and they've only been around a little over 12 years. They're already going in for rebuilding. Meanwhile, you have a much larger fleet of EMDs, like the GP40MCs and the F40PH-3Cs, which are like 40, 50 years old, and they're getting rebuilt, so they're going to outlast these things by a wide margin. Now, you know me, I'm a big lover of EMDs, and for those engines to be around as long as they have, you got to tip your hat to General Motors. Motive Power Industries they haven't really been tested in the long term. I doubt if these things will last nearly as long as the EMDs do. What with there always being in the shop, they have traction motor problems, oil leaks, they have fires, they have turbocharger failures. Oh my goodness sakes. Well, these are great engines for those 8-car trains to Providence and Wakeford Junction and those football specials, so they do serve a useful purpose. And you'll listen to these crisp exhausts and those beautiful K5LA horns. So they have some virtues over certain equipment that I won't talk about that I disdain, and you know what that is. So here's 36 out of 40 of the HSP46's for you to observe. 825, bound for Providence. These locomotives sound like B-52s when they start up. You hear that shrill, it sounds like a jet engine, a high-powered one. Now, on HSP46 locomotive number 2001, you'll note this plaque to the right of the American flag. That was to pay homage to Robert M. Tatum. He was a design engineer. He designed the power plant for these HSP46s, but he spent most of his life designing buses. He was from nearby Lynn, Massachusetts, and he passed away in 2014. At 135. They're everywhere, these things. I noticed the tops of the cabs on many of these units are filthy, no doubt collecting exhaust fumes in push mode. How come the EMDs don't look like that? Those cars come from all builders. He was definitely using his dynamic brake when he came in here. These locomotives sound not unlike the Metro North P32 Genesis locomotives. In fact, the fellow who designed these locomotives was the same one who designed the Genesis, a Cesar Vergaro. I think he might have had an off day when he designed the HSP46's. These locomotives are fitted with 12-cylinder Gevo prime movers like the ones you hear on the freight units, the ES44ACs, the ET44ACs. These Motive Power Industries locomotives are different from the MP36's in that they have GE prime movers, whereas the MP36's had EMD prime movers, and they've been much more successful. Ruggles, 722, heading into town. Those engines are good for pulling trains of this length. Place near here. Wow, an 8-car train. These are the kind of trains these engines were built for. Garfield comic strip, I'm going to pour gasoline on it and set fire to the house. Oh, more of these. Getting a bit frustrated here with all those Garfields. I think I'm going to lose my mind. Garfield Show. Oh boy. Heard that K5LA horn. They definitely have a huge advantage over the Silverliner 4s in that department. Planes interlocking, accelerating.
All you can do is defend on the perimeter. You can do a damn thing else in a game that's not on the field.
45 for Norwood at 423. He's flying. Hanging out there later today. The locomotive exhaust from starting this long 7-car train probably doesn't do the locomotive's cleanliness any favors in this back bay tunnel. junction with this. Well, a train is a train, right? Bound for Forge Park, I-495. From Forge Park to Boston. And 718 is off to Boston. Sliding down to the corridor at Reed Interlocking. For Stoughton. To South Station.
The following Ranger train arrives.
And this is another 7-car train. This locomotive is making short work of accelerating. I'm told that the football specials to Foxborough Stadium can be as long as 9 cars, and they're always pulled by these locomotives. Solid train of bi-levels. I don't think I've ever seen that on the north side. There's 709 to Forge Park. Thank heavens for the Back Bay Tunnel smoke ventilators. When this tunnel opened in the late 1980s, the ventilator fans they had were substandard, and this tunnel was often filled with smoke. For Greenbush with more junk on the point. To Providence. Train 827 bound for Wickford Junction, Rhode Island.
Next stop will be Sharon.
We got a Haverhill-bound train departing. What I love about rail fanning the north side lines is you don't see too many of these locomotives. It's EMD heaven, as Andy Griffith would say. I appreciate it. 7 bound for Worcester. For Foxborough, 407. Goofy Garfield. This is the Stoughton job, 873. Here comes 89 to Greenbush at 521. I am getting absolutely fed up. Railfans are telling me they run a lot of F40s on the old Colony Lines trains. They're a bunch of liars on this evening. It's 825 for Providence. Those rush hour trains to Providence and Wickford Junction are the most crowded, and those are the best engines to pull those trains with. As much as I absolutely adore those F40PH-3Cs, they can't quite cut it with trains like this. This guy has 7 cars.